President Trump is expected to announce an end to DACA tomorrow. That's the program that protects undocumented immigrants brought to the United States as children. So that leaves about 800,000 so-called dreamers facing possible deportation. Critics say the decision would destroy the lives of thousands of these children and adolescents. Supporters say, look, this is just the president following through on his campaign promise to crack down on illegal immigration. One of those supporters joins me now, Dan Stein. He's the president of the Federation for American Immigration Reform. Dan, it's nice to have you. Let's just listen to what the president said about these young people, these dreamers, back in February.
We are going to deal with DACA with heart. I have to deal with a lot of politicians, don't forget. And I have to convince them that what I'm saying is right. And I appreciate your understanding on that. But the DACA situation is a very difficult thing for me because, you know, I love these kids. I love kids.
So, Dan, is ending DACA dealing with heart?
Look, Donald Trump is basically saying to Congress, Poppy, it's time to grow up and actually start legislating good public policy on immigration. And if some kind of DACA resolution is part of something broader that helps implement Donald Trump's campaign agenda. Remember, he won on the immigration issue and trade, and that he has laid out really some very important components, whether it's building the wall, interior enforcement, defunding sanctuary cities, eliminating chain migration, cutting down the levels, E-Verify, all sorts of things. Now, the Democrats have kind of said, look, we're not going to meet Trump even halfway.
Dan,
so,
just to what I asked you, the president said, all right, the president, I think everyone agrees that immigration reform is needed in this country. You know, some of these adolescents and teenagers and people now in their 20s that are so-called dreamers want answers. I mean, they don't want this just by executive order. But my question to you is it dealing with heart, as the president promised he would do?
Poppy, there are moral and ethical dimensions that are difficult on this issue, as there are on all immigration issues, refugee admissions and others. But remember that President Obama has said for 4 years he didn't have the legal authority to do this. President Obama, to help Harry Reid in 2012, gave now 800,000 people work documents, American jobs, who had no right to be here and no right to those jobs.
That's not what President Obama said.
Well, President Obama for 4 years, 2008 to 12, said, I don't have the legal authority to do DACA. He then did it right before the election in 2012. And the reason he did it was because he was concerned that Harry Reid needed to get out the vote campaign. Hillary Clinton used the same DACA beneficiaries in her get out the vote campaign. What we have is a political polarization. And DACA, as an issue, is being impaled on the polarization, the unwillingness of the Democrats to come forward and look for reasonable solutions to fixing our immigration system more broadly.
Listen to what a young man, Santiago is his name, he's a sophomore at Columbia University. He is a so-called dreamer. Here's what he just told me he thinks should happen.
While I don't think that mass amnesty is the right way or is a solution to this, I do not think that mass deportation is also the right way to this. There should be more systemic, and even I would support a meritocracy-based type of immigration where immigrants that have contributed or are very likely to contribute to some type of economy in the U.S. are those that have first priority to stay. I don't think that everybody should be asked to leave, but I do think that those with skills should be, with promise to, should be allowed to stay before.
Is that a compromise that you could live with?
Everybody weighed in favor of continuing DACA, with the possible exception of Paul Ryan. They favored Hillary Clinton in this campaign. Donald Trump made commitments to his base to end these illegal programs.
I asked you, this is a dreamer who said he doesn't believe in complete amnesty. This is a dreamer who just told me he thinks that there should be some who can stay and some who can't, that it should be merit-based, who helps this country move forward. That is a compromise, and what I'm asking you is that a compromise that you can live with? Is that a compromise that you can live with?
FAIR is bringing the wisdom of 40 years of hindsight, looking at recommendations from commission after commission, reasons why we're in this mess in the first place. True reform is to examine how we got where we are and make changes to prevent it from happening in the future. And this is what Trump's base, this is what many of the Republican base and ought to be part of the Democratic base want, which is the kind of immigration reform that will stop future illegal immigration and prevent the kind of problems we're dealing with here now. Donald Trump has laid out a plan. And in the end, is there any what about all the Americans who didn't get into school because DACA beneficiaries took those spots? What about all the jobs American kids didn't get because DACA beneficiaries got those jobs? These issues are not so clear-cut. What we're looking for is a reasonable...
Will this country be better if dreamers like Santiago are removed from this country?
Some people are going to have to go home, but Donald Trump has made it clear he wants to use the DACA thing, the DACA component, as a carrot to see if he can move the Democrats to the table to basically, this is called the art of the deal, Poppy, the horse trade. Are the Democrats going to give Donald Trump anything that he wants, that he promised his base in this campaign? The immigration issue was the main pillar of his campaign. It's why he won, along with trade. There is an obligation to meet him halfway.
All right, I'm out of time. Let's see what the president says, if that is part of what he says, when he's expected to announce this move tomorrow. Dan Stein, appreciate you debating it. Thank you.
Thank you.